Let's see. All right. I think I may have done it. Cool. Okay. Let's see. All right. Starting with the South region, looking at Auburn. I mean, one seed, no question. Louisville and Creighton. I'm going to go Louisville. They got the former College of Charleston coach, Pat Kelsey, up there. They got a gang of former CFC players there, too. His first year as head coach. Sorry, I did not drink my tea before this that I normally do. Yeah, they got a couple of former CFC guys, a couple of Charleston guys who went to high school down here too, Bishop England grads. So I am going Louisville over Creighton, Michigan, San Diego in the South. That's interesting because you always like to have a 5-12 upset, even though I believe the 11-6 upset is more common. I think I saw that stat today. And I'm not really impressed by Michigan. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go San Diego here. First upset, UC San Diego. Let's see. A&M and Yale. I'm going to go A&M. Ole Miss and San Diego State or North Carolina. North Carolina probably should not be in, so they will probably go on a run as a result. What did Ole Miss do this year? Let's see, 22 and 11. Chris Beard, like him as a coach. Um, Jeez. Oh yeah, they got Padula or however you say his name, who hit the buzzer beater in the SEC tournament. Man, I kind of like Ole Miss, but I'm worried because, like I just said, that 6-11 matchup is an upset, even more than the 5-12 that we commonly think of as an upset. Let me check the net rankings. So Ole Miss 28th net rankings, North Carolina 36. Man, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the 11 seed here. So we'll see how that goes. Iowa State has had a strong season, even though they've had some injuries here late. I'm going to go ahead and pick Michigan State as the 2 seed at the bottom there. Marquette and New Mexico. Let's see what we're doing here. Marquette, Big East, 23 and 10, 26th in the net rankings. New Mexico, 25 and 7. In the Mountain West, 42nd. Interesting. Let's see if we can find a spread. What is that going to be? A Friday game? Marquette by 3.5. Hmm. Started out as a 4.5. Dropped a point so far. You got the kid Donovan Dent at New Mexico. Really good player. All right, let's see what I like here. I mean, Shaka Smart, he always does well in the tournament. I got Cam Jones, senior, almost 20 points a game. David Joplin. Oh, Richard Pitino. Nelly Jr. Joseph. 14 and 11. Mm, Um, I'm going to go Marquette. I hope I don't regret that. All right. Moving on to the West. First round. Florida, Norfolk State, going Florida. UConn, not going to three-peat. Don't like Dan Hurley, going Oklahoma. Memphis, Colorado State. This one's supposed to be close. This is kind of the 5-12 matchup people have in mind when they think upsets. Let's see what we're looking at here. Let's see. Memphis, American, 29 and 5, but 49th in net, depending on how you feel about that. Colorado State is higher in net out of the Mountain West. Why am I picking multiple 5-12 upsets? But pick multiple 5-12 upsets. One of them's got a hit. I'm going Colorado State. Maryland, Grand Canyon. Maryland is underrated. I like Grand Canyon. I believe they have a pretty, they got Bryce Drew as coach. They have a lot of seniors, a lot of experience. I think experience is important in the NCAA tournament. But again, let's see. Maryland. Maryland's got Derek Queen, who I love watching play. But a freshman kind of goes against what I was just saying. Julian Reese. This is a tough draw for Maryland because they are a really good team. Let's see if we can find a spread on them. Maryland by 10.5. Well, Vegas wouldn't lie to me. So I'm going to go Maryland here. Missouri and Drake. Missouri and Drake. SEC. Missouri, the SEC, killing it all season. Battle tested. I'm leaning Missouri top of my head. That's my gut reaction. Favored by 6.5. Let's see. Mizzou 16th in net. 22 and 11 overall. 3 and 7 in quad one. No, I read that wrong. 7 and 11 in quad one wins. Drake was at Missouri Valley Conference, 28 and 3, 2 and 0 in quad one. Man, I just don't think. And they're playing in, what is this game? This game is in Kansas. So really kind of like a home game for both of them. Bennett Sturts, really good at Drake. 30 and 3 for Drake. Okay. I am going to go Mizzou here. Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington, Texas Tech, Kansas, and Arkansas. This is a battle of disappointments. They both love to underachieve in the tournament. They've both underachieved this season as well. 7-10 matchup. Let's see, what was ESPN saying about this one? Hmm. Kansas, Arkansas, some might say. 4.5 point spread in favor of Kansas. It's hard to depend on a guy like Hunter Dickinson. But, I mean, Cal has been ridiculous this season. Although they did go and upset Kentucky at home, which was funny. I'm going to go Kansas here. I don't know how much I enjoy it. St. John's, we just talked about Rick Pitino Jr., and we got the old one here. Rick Pitino, the man's a vampire, but he keeps winning games. Let's head on over to the East region. Duke pains me, but you're looking good. 8-9 matchup. Mississippi State and Baylor. Brother, let's see. Mississippi State, where are we? Pretty close in the net rankings. Baylor was 30th in the last one. Mississippi State was 34th. What do the gamblers have to say? Brother, 1.5 point spread to Mississippi State in their favor. And then ESPN Analytics has it going to Baylor. So a toss up in every sense of the word. That means I have to rely on my own expertise. Scott Drew knows how to play here. So they got the kid VJ Edgecombe, who's supposed to be a high draft pick. He hasn't had what I think of as a high draft pick season, but again, I'm old. I'm used to things going differently for high draft picks. Man, they've got some talent. They got a good mix of older guys. Jeremy Roach, who was at Duke. Mississippi State. If anyone else is watching and you want to throw in a Mississippi State Baylor, any tidbits, go ahead and do that. See Josh Hubbard. Yeah, he's really good. Riley Kugel. Where was he? He was at Florida and transferred over. Okay. I am going to go full on SEC bias. Mississippi State. Oregon, Liberty. Going Oregon. Not a Liberty fan. All right, Arizona and Akron. Now, Arizona bothers me because I'm tired of seeing Caleb Love play basketball. And I like what Akron does. They were really good in their conference tournament. I think that was the one with two brothers playing, and it came down to like a last-second basket. Yep, 28-6, 17-1 in conference. They 14 seed last year in the tournament, and lost first round. Man, let's look at these other. Okay. I'm going to go Arizona here, but I'm not going to like it. BYU and VCU. Hmm. BYU, Big 12. They had a good season. They last net rankings they were 25th, 8-7 in quad one, 6-2 in quad two. VCU 2-1 in quad one, 6-4 in quad two. I'm going ridiculous. Ridiculous. 2-11-6 upsets. Can it be? Let me double check VCU's roster, even though I just watched that game yesterday. You got Ryan Odom as the coach. Okay. BYU, second season in the Big 12. New coach this year, Mark Pope, went to Kentucky. Richie Saunders, he was lighting it up in the conference tournament. Yeah, a lot of experience. I think BYU barely pulls it out. Let's see what the spread is. BYU and VCU. BYU 2.5. Okay. That's maybe scared me. Sorry, my dog has to throw up. All right. So the dog throwing up, what does that mean in terms of this? Is this a sign? I'm going to stick with BYU. I feel like he would not have gotten sick if I hadn't started wavering on that pick. Okay. Looks like he's faking her out. He does this thing where he acts like he's going to throw up and then he goes outside and raises hell. Shout out to Kobe. That's his name. All right. Wisconsin, Montana, 3 and the 14. This feels like Wisconsin had a disappointing performance yesterday against Michigan, but I do think they're good enough to win this one. So I'm going to go ahead and go Wisconsin, St. Mary's, and Vanderbilt. St. Mary's 21 in the last net rankings, 27-5 overall, 4-3 in quad one, 6-2 in quad two. Vandy 48th in net, 5-9 in quad one, 4-3 in quad two. I'm gonna go St. Mary's here. Really good season for them. Tough one in the final of the conference tournament. They lost that one, right? But overall, they've really had a couple of good seasons. In the West Coast Conference, which normally is Gonzaga. Yeah, 17-1 in the regular season. But the Zags did win that one. Their defense was unreal. All right. Alabama, Robert Morris, Alabama, Houston, Georgia, and the aforementioned Gonzaga. Let's see. The Zags fallen off a little bit, but still really good. Khalif Battle is a dog. They got Ryan Nimhard. A lot of experience here. I'm going with the Zags. Clemson, McNeese State. I'm a Gamecock fan. Going with McNeese, but they're also really good. Will Wade, he will be at a big time school again in no time. He's got them on the right track. Yeah, back-to-back tournaments, two combined losses the past two seasons in conference. Purdue and High Point. I feel like Purdue, I've picked a lot of upsets. This is kind of what I do. Purdue really good in quad two, 9-1. Quad one, 7-10, which is it's respectable. But High Point, I know that's been like a sexy pick. 14-2 in the Big South, 29-5 overall. Mm, I'm going to pick Purdue. I don't know how happy I'm going to be about it, but it is what it is. All right. Illinois or Texas or Xavier. I'm going Illinois, Kentucky, and Troy. Going Kentucky, UCLA, Utah State. Well, let's go ahead. Tennessee, Wofford. Going Tennessee. UCLA, Utah State. Let's see. Utah State, 26-7 this year. 15-5, which was third in the Mountain West. Another one of those teams not in a power conference, so they have a lot of experience. UCLA, which I keep forgetting, is in the Big Ten now, even though that doesn't make sense. Mick Cronin has got a lot of talent there, a lot of high recruits. What does that mean? I don't know. It, I mean, 13-7 in the Big Ten, 22-10 overall. What does ESPN think? Got UCLA by 5.5. Vegas does. That's kind of where I was leaning. Yeah, okay. Let's do it. UCLA. All right. Moving on to the round of 32. As much as I'd like to see Bruce Pearl lose, I don't think Louisville has enough for them. UC San Diego and A&M. I think this is A&M. Now, San Diego State, North Carolina, or Iowa State is interesting because I was talking about the 6-11 matchup and how that's like that's an upset pick. And these play-in 11 seeds, they're known for making a run. I think it's because they get like a warm-up game heading into the tournament. Iowa State has had it rough with injuries recently. Let's see. Really hot start to the year, but yeah, let's see. They were 17-2 to start the season. And they've basically been a 500 team since. So I'm doing it. We're getting nuts. All right. Marquette, Michigan State, Tom Izzo. He just keeps winning. So I'm going with the gut there. I don't know how he does it, especially in this era when all the other grumpy coaches have retired. But he keeps making it happen. Florida is really good. They're better than Oklahoma. Maryland and Colorado State. I still like Maryland. That's what my gut says. Let me take a closer look at Colorado State. Nico Medved, The coach, he was at Furman and Drake. Nice mix. Mm. But, man, this is tough. I'm going Maryland. I mean, Queen is just so much fun to watch in the post. Very hard to pick against him just because that's who I want to see play, and that's kind of how I fill out these brackets, even though that's not always the best strategy. Missouri and Texas Tech. Mizzou. Dennis Gates, 22 and 11, 10 and 8 in the SEC. Yeah, they don't. Okay. Ninth in the country in scoring, 84.5 points a game. I like teams that score. That's another one of my things that trips me up because I will also pick playing styles that I prefer. Texas Tech. Now they've played some big games this year too. Grant McCaslin, JT Toppin. Hmm. I'm going Texas Tech. They really impressed me. This is useless. This is useless, but they really impressed me the game against Houston when Toppin was ejected for no real reason for throwing a pass and hitting somebody in the face. And then uh, McCaslin got ejected too, and they still managed to win by one in overtime. That's just really cool. So I'm gonna pick them. Simple as that. All right. Kansas and St. John's. St. John's. Kansas. No one should have won the Kansas Arkansas game because they're both terrible. Go back up to the top. Duke, Mississippi State. Assuming Cooper Flag is back, Duke, Arizona, and Oregon. These were Pac 12 foes. No more. I mentioned my Caleb Love conundrum with Arizona. He led them in scoring, if I have to say something nice about him. Oregon's got the guy, uh, yeah, Biddle. Isn't. Oh, and they got Supreme Cook. I can't pick against a team who has a guy named Supreme Cook. Oregon, BYU, Wisconsin. I think this is going to be BYU. My dog's barking. He is healthy, thankfully. Alabama, St. Mary's, Bama, Houston, and Gonzaga. Houston, McNeese and Purdue. Love McNeese State. Going with them for the upset. Kentucky and Illinois. Kentucky, UCLA, and Tennessee. Tennessee, even though they looked a little bit shaky recently. Now we are in the Sweet 16. Auburn, Texas A&M. They've actually played. How did those games look? Obviously, Auburn feels like the pick. But A&M did beat them March 4th. Was that without Broom? He played. Man, beat him by 11 in College Station. I think that was the only game they played. Buzz Williams, he's got like the way he coaches. His teams have that distinct, gritty rock fight identity. Wade Taylor, man, I just think that Auburn has always they've looked good for most of the season. I don't think you can just hold the one loss against them. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Michigan State or that 11 seed. I'm going Izzo. It's been a while since he's made a Final Four. I feel like he's due. He used to make them like once every class. It's been a while though. All right. Florida, Maryland. I think this is where my Maryland run ends. St. John's, Texas Tech. Got to go with the Vampire. This is a resurgent year for coaches who have been around for decades between Patino and Izzo. Tennessee, Kentucky. Never, ever, ever trust Rick Barnes. Going with Kentucky here. McNeese in Houston. Sadly, this is where my McNeese run ends. BYU and Bama. Going with Bama. Duke and Oregon. Going with Duke, assuming that Cooper Flagg is healthy. All right, we're getting there. What is this? Elite Eight now. Auburn and Michigan State. All right. These are two coaches I do not enjoy, but who do I enjoy the least? Michigan State. I talked about Buzz Williams and how he always has guys that, like, his teams have a certain identity. Michigan State, very similar in that Izzo recruits people who it looks like they are like all 35 years old and have CDLs, but they don't. I like Jace Richardson. I can't believe I'm watching Jason Richardson's kid play at Michigan State. He's been really good. Man, I think Izzo can outcoach Pearl here. I think this is an upset. Even though, as much as I don't like Bruce Pearl, a great coach, but I think this is I think Izzo's got something for him. Again, I think this is the year of the old coach. All right. Florida and St. John's. I can't go against it now. Right? Like, we're talking old coaches. We got to at least get them to a showdown. So I'm going to go St. John's. I haven't talked enough about Florida in this, but they have, I mean, obviously a one seed. I don't know if anybody thought we'd see that after Billy Donovan left, but Todd Golden has them on the right track. They've been, like, last season, they were pretty good too, but it's just his third year. Remember, they had Michael White. Not great. Uh, but 30-4 this year, 14-4 in the SEC, which was second. Walter Clayton, senior guard, really good. Elijah Martin, the transfer from Florida Atlantic, I believe, also really good. Really good team. Patino, though. Patino. What can you do? All right, where are we? Houston and Kentucky. Now, Houston is one of those teams that scares me because their offense is improved, but it ain't great. And again, I like teams that can score. They don't like to score. So you see my conundrum. As good as they are, and they're always really good defensively. They were 19-1 in conference with that only loss to Texas Tech in overtime. 30-4 overall. Second in scoring defense in the nation. But they just can't score. Even though, again, it is improved, 74 points per game. But that's not that much improved. Their offense it's looked better, but that's pretty much what it's been. That has been their Achilles heel. Kentucky has had their ups and downs. Some of that is just being in the SEC. Some of that is you got a new coach in Mark Pope. Started off red hot. They've had some problems here and there, but they also have a ton of experience, even though a lot of these guys are transferred in. So they don't have like a lot of chemistry yet, but experience, and they can they can score. They're fourth in the country in scoring. I'm going Kentucky. Kentucky in the Final Four. Duke and Bama. Duke, young team led by Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple, which is a ridiculous name. That's that's the name of someone. If you were making a movie about Duke basketball, you would have a character named Con Knipple, and he would look like Con Knipple. Man, it's just a young team at Duke. As good as they've been, number one team in the country, won the ACC championship, three losses, one in the ACC, weak conference for them though, um, which is weird. And I'm not overjoyed by what Bama does. I think that they do have some weaknesses. They have some games where they don't show up. They score a ton of points. They lead the country in scoring. Nate Oates, I do like him as a coach. They could be better defensively. I mean, we saw that in the SEC tournament. They gave up 104 points to Florida. I mean, their losses have been they've had a lot of trouble against Florida. They've lost twice to them just in the past couple weeks. But they did have that big win against Auburn, where I think that was the one where Mark Sears hit the game winner. Mm, let's see. Sears, no, Grant Nelson's banged up, but he's been good there for a while. I'm going Bama. All right. Final four. First one, Michigan State, St. John's, battle of the old coaches. St. John's. Or so this is just basically Rick Pitino or Tom Izzo. I don't even care about the players. I just I kind of want the old guys to play one on one. I think it's going to be what would be the better story? Izzo making it back would be great, but Patino doing this in year two after going to Iona and Greece and Transylvania or wherever they're from, that would be fantastic too. Mm, let's see what we have here. Almost identical in the net rankings. Michigan State 13-5 quad one games. St. John's 6-4, but 11-0 in quad two games. But Michigan State 5-1. I think this is going to be the Spartans. Bama, Kentucky feels automatic. Bama. Yeah, but let's see how they've looked against each other this season. I mean, they beat them by 29 to open the SEC tournament. You don't want to put too much stock in one game, but that's a hell of a result. And then they beat them at Kentucky by 5 in the regular season. and they beat them at home in February. So they say it's hard to beat a team 3 times. They've done it. Does it get harder or easier to beat them a fourth time? Bama, Michigan State, Alabama for the national championship. Can Tom Izzo pull it off, or will Nate Oates get his first one? Let's see. So Izzo has not. He's got the one national championship. I'm sorry, two. No, Izzo's got one. They won it with Magic Johnson. And that was in similar to Cash Money Records, setting it off in the 99 2000. That's a long time. Like I said, felt like every recruiting class he got to a Final Four for a bit there, but hasn't made one since 2019. Not a huge drought, but no national titles. I think Alabama pulls it off, and I think the total combined points scored will be 149. All right. So, what do we think? Let me know who you picked. This is almost certainly going to be wrong because all of my brackets are, but I will be back tomorrow to do the women's bracket, even though I'm not I know more about the women's side for sure, which means absolutely nothing. We got Danny Foxworth. Shout out to Mateen Cleaves, Mo Pete. Yes. That team, that's when I knew I was never going to be an NBA scout because I thought Mateen Cleaves was going to go be Isaiah Thomas. And he was not Isaiah Thomas. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Mateen Cleaves, not Isaiah Thomas. Uh, Neither version of Isaiah Thomas. He might be post hip surgery shorter Isaiah Thomas. Flint, let's see, 3.6 points per game for his career, but a March legend. So, he's got that going for him. That's really what I need to do. I need to do like college basketball history. That's more my lane when it comes to the men's side because with the transfer portal, I just can't keep up with everybody. So I'm going to leave this up. Leave your comments in the chat. Let me know who you're picking, who your Final Four is. And I'll be back tomorrow with the women's, which I have more knowledge about, but that doesn't matter because this is March Madness and I will almost certainly be wrong. All right.